If you care about standards, clarity, and results that last, then this will resonate with you. We're using more platforms than ever. We have more dashboards all over the place. We have way more AI tools, and yet most leaders still can't clearly connect activities to outcome. And that's because digital amplifies whatever exists. What up, Bars Nation? Welcome back to another episode of the Dropping Bars podcast. Host Kimron Corian, and today I have a really great episode for you. And it's great, well, for me at least. And the worst thing is to have something that you think is good, but your audience think is crap. Well, I really hope that you don't think this is crap, because I want to share something with you today. And what I want to share is this. Most digital strategies don't fail. They're wasted potential. And that's the problem that I see every single day. Brands with reach, but no clarity. Marketing teams are doing a lot, but they're really moving nothing. And then AI tools are being adopted without discipline or direction. People see ChatGPT, they see Gemini, and they're like, oh, let's get a subscription. But then why exactly are you getting a subscription to ChatGPT Plus? Why? For what reason? How are you going to use that in your business, in your marketing, in whatever it is that you're doing? Now, this video is not about algorithm. This podcast episode is not about trends. It's not about posting more. It's about a standard that I live by. And that standard is I refuse to waste what I was built for. And because I refuse to waste my potential, I refuse to help brands waste theirs. And that's the belief that has led me to build a framework I called Refuse, REFUSE. And that is a way of thinking about marketing, digital strategy, communication, social media marketing, and artificial intelligence that prioritizes clarity, elimination, focus, systems, and execution. And in this podcast video, I am going to officially introduce you to the Refuse framework. So let's jump right in. Now, let's get honest for a moment, right? Most organizations don't have a tool problem. They have a thinking problem. We're using more platforms than ever. We have more dashboards all over the place. We have way more AI tools, and yet most leaders still can't clearly connect activities to outcome. And that's because digital amplifies whatever exists. So what already exists gets amplified by digital. So if the thinking is unclear, then digital scales that confusion. And here is what wasted potential often look like. We're talking about posting consistently, but without a clear message, running campaigns without a defined outcome, and using AI just because your competitors are using it. I mean, think about that for a moment. Think about using a particular tool just because your competitors are using it, and not because you are seeing how can that tool, how can that AI, how can that strategy, whatever it is, how can that help make my operation much more efficiently, much more smoothly? And then the next thing that we have is, measuring engagement instead of understanding. And this is why Refuse doesn't start with tactics. It starts with recognition. So, before you add anything new, you need to see what's already broken, if anything is in fact broken. Because you might be jumping onto something and trying to fix something that's not broken. So, let's talk about the Refuse framework. Now, the Refuse framework is not motivation. It is not motivation. Let's get that out of the way. It is a decision system. So let me walk through it. The R stands for recognize. REFUSE. The R stands for recognize. Now, you cannot fix what you cannot see. So, the R stands for recognize. You cannot fix what you refuse to see honestly. Now, most brands aren't invisible per se, but they're incoherent. So, if your audience can't explain what you do, then your marketing is broken, no matter how good it looks. It might look good, great videos, great images, but it's not working. And this is where clarity starts. So that was the R. Now, the E stands for eliminate. Eliminate. High performers subtract before they add. So we're subtracting vanity metrics, trend chasing, platforms that don't solve your strategy. If it doesn't strengthen the message or move the needle, then it's digital clutter. For example, let's take a look at Google. Google didn't win because it launched everything, even though it looks that way now. It won because it killed what didn't align. A lot of the companies that are winning today, that you might see them doing a lot of different things, but their success didn't come because they just started doing everything at the same time. They got rid of what doesn't align with where they're going. And elimination, let's get that clear. Elimination is not failure. It's discipline. Now, next, the F. The F is focus. Now, reach without relevance is wasted exposure. I want to repeat that. Because some people love saying, oh, we had 1,000 reach today, or we reached 1,000 people today. Reach without relevance is wasted exposure. The most effective brands don't just say more things. They repeat the right things. For example, let's look at Apple. Now, Apple doesn't overwhelm you with a bunch of different options. They focus obsessively on a few ideas, design, simplicity, experience, and that's it. So focus builds memory, and memory builds trust. The next one is utilize. And most organizations that you know, well, at least that I know, they have unused assets. So they have unused assets. So we're talking about past content, we're talking about data, we're talking about experience and insights. Now, AI should help you extract value, not replace thinking. Let's be clear. AI does not replace intelligence. It exposes the absence of it. So if AI makes your content generic, the problem isn't the tool itself, but it's the strategy behind it. Now, the next thing is systemize. That's the S in the Refuse framework. Systemize. Let's slow down a little bit because I want you to hear me. Talent without system burns out. Systems without clarity collapses. So, if your marketing success depends on motivation, it will fail. Systems create consistency, efficiency, and skill. This is where serious brands separate themselves from the reactive ones. And then the E in the Refuse framework stands for execute. Execution is how respect for potential is proven. Planning feels productive, right? But execution reveals the truth. Take, for instance, Netflix. Netflix didn't wait for the perfect moment, the perfect certainty. They launched, they learned, they refined, and they built feedback loops into everything. So clarity improves after execution, not before. And that is the Refuse framework. Now, Refuse is a leadership standard. It is not necessarily a marketing framework. So let's get that clear. Okay, so now that we said that, the strongest leaders that I've worked with, here's what I've noticed. They say no more than they say yes. They protect their focus, they build systems, they execute consistently, they research consistently. And what that does, especially when you are researching consistently, It shows that organizations with clear strategic focus outperforms their peers over time. It's not me. That's what the data shows. So not because people work harder means that they're going to win. Because you could be working hard and have no system in place, and you might be wasting time. This framework, the Refuse framework, is not for everyone. And I understand that. It is not for everyone. But, I think that it is, some people are going to find benefit from it. So, if you want shortcuts, then this framework will frustrate the hell out of you. So stay away from it. If you want trends, then it will bore you. You'll get bored. However, if you care about standards, clarity, and results that last, then this will resonate with you. That's the Refuse. So, let me leave you with a few questions just before I wrap up this episode. Ask yourself this. Where in your digital or marketing strategy are you busy but not effective? What are you holding onto that you should eliminate? Are you focused on visibility or on understanding? What assets are you sitting on currently that you're not fully using? If motivation disappeared tomorrow, would your system still work? And that's a big one. If motivation disappeared tomorrow, if tomorrow you're just not motivated for anything, will your system still work? Now, I believe that the Refuse system or the Refuse framework, the Refuse standard, however you want to refer to it, I'm quite cool with it, exists because wasted potential is expensive, not just financially, but strategically. Most people are busy, but the top 1% are intentional. And everything I teach really comes back. Everything I just mentioned, everything I stand for now and going forward comes back to one belief. And that belief, like I said at the beginning, is I refuse to waste what I was built for. And I help brands and leaders do the same thing through clarity, discipline, systems, and execution. So if this resonated with you, I want you to like the video, like the podcast, subscribe to the channel, share this with someone who is leading a brand or a team, and stay close. Stay close, because this framework will guide a lot of the content that I will share going forward. It will guide a lot of my podcast episode and how I deliver. It will guide some of the content that I'm going to be delivering going forward. This is the second episode of season 3 of the Dropping Bars podcast. And I am so happy to be back, to be, delivering value to you once more. So, again, Bars Nation, that was it. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Dropping Bars podcast. I appreciate your attention. I appreciate your time. I know anybody who has made it to the end of this video, I know what it takes to make it to the end of a video like this. And I do not take this lightly. I do not take your attention lightly. I greatly appreciate it. So thank you, Bars Nation, for tuning in to another episode of the Dropping Bars podcast. And I will see you next week for the next episode. So thank you and see you soon. Peace out.